Hi, my name's Rob Disler. Welcome to my first ever YouTube video. The reason I've decided to create this is, like a lot of people globally across the world for over the last year and a half, I've been affected by global redundancy and streamlining. I was affected back in July earlier this year. Um, and I've had a number of previous hires, people I've headhunted, people in my network, people I've interviewed reach out to me for help. Um, so obviously I've seen a huge amount of LinkedIn traffic, and I think there's one thing which we've all seen is candidate experience is rock bottom. It's gone beyond rock bottom, in all honesty. I've been doing recruitment for 20 years. I did 6 years on the agency side. I did 13 and a half years internally. And I will tell you right now, I've never seen a recruitment market this bad. Okay, even after Lehman Brothers collapse, it was never this bad. What's happened to internal talent acquisition teams is also tragic, but what is left is even more tragic. So what my videos are aimed to do over the next few months is really to help you to understand how internal talent acquisition works, to get you how to help you apply and get yourself noticed. So my first video is really about the basics, how to really write a CV for an internal recruiter and a hiring manager. Now, the first things first, the vast majority of companies will use applicant tracking systems. So we call them ATS systems. We need that for a number of reasons. One is obviously if you're getting lots of applicants, you need to be able to track that, update processes, X, Y, Z. The other one is actually compliance. If you do work with the US federal government or any state authority, or you're listed on the stock market, you actually need to do audits. Quite simple. So let's start with your CV. Unless you're in UI, UX, or a designer, we don't want to see fancy graphics, borders. ATS systems hate them. So get rid of them. Second thing, don't be afraid to do more than a one-page CV, two-page CV, 2.5. Don't go beyond 3 pages, though. I've been there when I remember on the agency side first time out. I remember seeing a CV from a person from the Indian subcontinent, probably technically brilliant, but it was a 47-page CV. A recruiter's not going to read that, a hiring manager's not going to see that. The other key thing is really with your CV, you need to make yourself look like you are an achiever, you are an accomplisher. You don't want to be looking at someone who's a doer. Okay, so think about the achievements which you've done, the accomplishments you've done, and how that aligns to business objectives. Okay, now it will vary from role to role. If you're a salesperson, you're there to hit and beat number. Quite simple. Everything's in Salesforce, and you're a good corporate citizen. But if you're applying for a sales role, you put your numbers on. I had a $1 million target and I did 1.5 million, or my target, I did 152% above number. I've been to President's Club. That's going to make a sales recruiter's role rock world. Now, developers, yet again, it's a lot harder. A lot of developers have learned how to use keywords to get a CV in front of a tech recruiter. I've done both sales and technical recruitment. Now, some hiring managers are very interested in your tech stack, so have that in there. All hiring managers actually in that area will be interested in your tech stack. But, we want to see how you work, how you collaborate. Are you working to agile or scrum methodology or waterfall methodology? Yet again, we're looking for that team collaboration beyond having a tech stack. Do you have on-prem and off-prem experience? Have you worked in a live production environment? Those kind of things. So yet again, just don't put a tech stack, but tell us how you collaborate and what methodologies you've worked to and how you've improved systems. Are you working on mission critical systems as well? The only rule outside this is really going to be if you're a UX, UI designer, graphic designer. Yeah, we'll want to link to your portfolio or want to see your portfolio. you need to be able to, obviously, you can have a fancy graphic CV. Yes, ATS systems will struggle, but that's probably the only time when I've recruited people where I wanted to see CVs like that. Because guess what? The chief experience officer, that's what they're going to look for. The head of UX and UI, where's their link to their portfolio? So yet again, when you come to your CV, the key points are really is making sure you look like you're an accomplisher, you're a doer, you're not putting in fancy borders, you're not putting in fancy graphics and boxes, but also make sure you come across, you use the space which you have effectively. And this comes to one of my final points around your CV, is less is more. One of my problems is I'm a talker, and my CV shows that. So yet again, look at your wording. How can I rephrase that? How can I chop that sentence down from 2 sentences down to 1 sentence? Okay, make it clear, make it stand out. And the final point about your CV, and I've learned this, is really get multiple people to review your CV. Whether that's a recruitment friend, someone in marketing, a peer in your group who's done something very similar to you, a family member, because each person's going to look at it differently. And you remember, you're appealing to a wider audience. So some people are going to pick up on certain things, other people are going to pick up on other things. So yet again, make sure you get several people to review it, because one, that's going to eliminate spelling and grammar errors and formatting errors. But obviously, they're seeing it each from their own particular eyes. And a CV, as I've mentioned, is nothing more than a marketing document which is designed to get you an interview. That's all it's designed to do. Another point, personal information. Now, this is where my cybersecurity hat comes on. I don't need to know your home address. Quite simple. Less can be more. Protect yourself. I only need to know your home address once I get to an offer stage. Now, many application forms will ask for your home address. Okay, fill it out. But also, if you're available to relocation, many application forms don't actually ask that. So you might want to put that in your CV, open to relocation, okay, at the top line. If they allow you to do a cover letter, yet again, do that. Another point which I would like to raise about CVs, it's becoming a lot more common to put your profile picture on your CV. Now, I would be extremely careful about the profile picture which you put on your CV. You've got to have a very blank, plain background so it's not distracting. I personally would favour a photo of you where you are possibly looking younger. People are naturally attracted to, certain looks and certain features, and one of those is youth. Okay, so yet again, if you got a profile picture which is very up to date and you're full of grey hair, people might know he's old, she's old, XYZ. I'm not going to speak to them. You've got to remember, the vast majority of internal talent acquisition teams that are left are, they're going through a very hard time. Teams have been decimated internally. Example, my last team, there was 16 of us. There's now 4 of them left. Yeah, what's their morale like? I won't excuse bad behaviour, but yet again, they are trying to deal with a lot, and they're wondering if they're going to have a job. They probably will do, because I don't think it can get any worse for inside talent acquisition at the moment. But yet again, make it appealing to them. Don't give them distraction. Make their CV easy to read, because at the moment, some jobs are getting thousands of applications. Now, finally, you apply and you don't hear back. Well, I'm going to be brutal here. If you haven't heard back within a week, you're probably a no. If you hear back within 2 weeks, okay, that might be great. But afterwards, if you haven't heard back from them, you're definitely a no. Okay, that's how it is. I recently, in the last couple of months, received a rejection email from 2 companies, which are global companies, BP and Klarna, for roles which I applied for over a year ago for. Yeah, it made me laugh and nearly fell off my chair. A lot of internal recruiters who are left, it's not just they've been overwhelmed, but they aren't the best people left. Now, I might have been in the company for many years, so the company, when they've decided to do the mass layoffs, decided to keep them because it'd be more expensive to get rid of. They might not be the most senior recruiters, so they've just, They're not on the best pay, so it's cheaper to keep them rather than a highly experienced recruiter. And also, one of the things, because they've lost their managers, their directors, the experienced recruiters who can mentor and train them to develop good habitual habits, they're not getting that, as well as their morale being extremely low. Now, it doesn't excuse what's happening in the market where people are applying for jobs. There's one guy on LinkedIn the other day, he's a TA leader, he's applied for 32 jobs in October and hasn't heard back on any single one. So look, I'll be interested in hearing your comments. It's my first YouTube video. Hopefully this gives you a bit of guidance, but really, this is what's happening inside TA, but how can you help yourself? Look at your CV, make sure you come across as an accomplisher and not a doer. Make sure you get 4 or 5 people to review it. Make sure the formatting looks right. Use the space which you have, but look at that wording. Make it stand out. Make it someone, oh, that's really interesting. I want to read more. Because the reality is internal recruiters and hiring managers will probably spend less than 10 seconds looking at your CV if they look at it at all. Anyway, I'll be uploading more videos over the next few weeks. There's a lot to talk about in internal talent acquisition. But look, it's depressing. It's demoralizing. But it's not personal. It does feel personal, and trust me, I know it does. But at some point, it will turn around. And the companies who unfortunately have let candidate experience hit rock bottom, they're going to struggle to hire in the future because people are going to go, oh yeah, I applied for you, never heard back from you. Oh, I interviewed you, never heard back from an interview. And ultimately, this drive to reduce costs is ultimately going to end up costing companies in the medium to longer term more money. And I've seen this. I've been around long enough to see this happen when Oracle, moved their tech support teams to Eastern Europe, and then a few years later had to re-onshore them again. I wonder how many billions that cost. Anyway, I will say au revoir, ciao, sweet swain, and you're on.